Hello everybody, my name is Meir Sabbah. I'm going to be the one teaching you guys landing pages in this course of Community Manager at Webschool. We're going to go directly into the creating of the landing page. We're not going to waste too much time. However, we're going to start off by explaining a little bit what the landing page is, just if you haven't 100% understood. So a landing page could be something simple and it could be something a little bit more complex. And we're going to choose that complex version of the landing pages. First of all, because we're professionals, and second of all, because we want our landing page to be different than a standard, easy, one-click landing page. So a landing page is, in essence, an interactive form that will land on once we click on a link that is somewhere in a Facebook campaign or something. So you have a promotion, a sale, a concert, a conference, anything, an event that you created a campaign for, and you put a link inside that campaign, which is going to take the one who clicks on it to your landing page, hence the name, on a browser. So Safari, Explorer, Chrome, whichever. Once you land on there, you fill out the form. That form becomes a lead. The lead is going to be transferred hopefully to a salesperson that's going to be in touch with that person and turn him into a client eventually. We're going to take that landing page and we're going to add content inside in order to explain, in order to make the user or the visitor make him want to fill it out. And that could only happen if there is content, okay? And that content is regular web content, okay? It's HTML and CSS. We're not web developers, but we're going to be using a tool that's going to make that super simple. So I'm going to open up the tool that we're going to be using called AppDrag. So here is my AppDrag, and on the top corner you're going to see my account. I have it in English, but you might have it in French or in English or in Hebrew or whatever. There's a whole bunch of languages that are supported, but make sure that you're working in English because I'm going to be doing the tutorial in English, so might as well use English. Alright, so my account. I click on it. If I have an account, that's going to take me directly into it. If not, I could create an account. It's relatively simple. You just have to follow the directives that are on there. Don't do it with Google or Facebook. Just make a regular standard account with AppDrag. You know, it's just a very simple form. You don't have to put in your phone number. Just put in your name, your email, and the password. Once you're inside, you're going to land on your dashboard. So this is what you have. It says dashboard up there. This is where all your projects are going to be. So this is my dashboard. Now, you can see over here I only have two projects currently inside my dashboard. These are projects from Webschool itself. And I'm going to click on this button, New Page Builder, which is going to take me to templates that are already made of websites and landing pages. I'm just going to have to click one, select it, and change the content from my content. Now there's a bunch of categories you can see on the left side. There's pages that have websites with 5 pages, 8 pages. I just want a simple landing page, so we're going to select over here on the left side landing pages. I'm going to, well, you have launch on one page, so I'm going to select obviously one page. Launch has some pages over there have more than one page, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to select this one right here. Looks to be pretty interesting. Once I hover over it, I see that I have a preview of what the page actually looks like. I don't have to click inside it. I could just hover over it and see what it looks like. But if you want, you could click on it and then you'll be able to see what it looks like on a mobile, for example. You know, this has a little burger menu. It's pretty cool. And then there's the button Use This Template, which will take me to the page that I could give it a name. So I'm going to give it a name right here and create project. And we are going to start talking about AppDrag first of all. This is the general AppDrag tour. We're going to speak about the buttons, how they work, what does this do, what does that do, and then we're going to speak about the structure that AppDrag uses in order to build the projects, okay, to build the websites. And that's going to be a really important step. So let's start off with the AppDrag logo. This AppDrag logo is going to take me back to the dashboard where I was 2 seconds ago. This button right here is to get to different projects. So if you're working on 2, 3 different projects simultaneously, you're able to just select whichever one you want and it's going to take you directly instead of having to go back to the dashboard and selecting the other project. This button right here is going to take you to the configurations of the website. On the right side, there's the configuration of this actual page, and on the left side, it's the configuration of the menu that we're going to speak about a little bit. You see the one right here. And you also have the possibility of duplicating this page right now. Okay, so let's say this is my landing page, but I want to duplicate it in order to create another one which is pretty similar, but it's a different event. And I'll just change, the date and whatever it is, but I still need both of these landing pages active at the same time. I can't just change my landing page and just export it. I need both of them to be active simultaneously, and that is possible just by duplicating it and then, create as many landing pages that I want. These two little globes are the same. They're going to open up the translation module. We're going to speak about the translation module later on. No worries. SEO. This is the search engine optimization. This is an assistant that checks and analyzes the entire website to see if my website is following the criterias of search engines like Yahoo and Bing and Google, of course. So we're not developers, so we don't really know how to make sure that everything is following all these criteria. So this assistant is going to make everything easy. You just click on the button. Takes a couple of seconds and everything is done. We're going to get to that. No worries. Upgrade. If you want to pass from a free account to a paying account with more advantages and all that, you could do that. This is the responsive modules. So if you want to see what your website looks like in a mobile or in a tablet and make changes for those devices specifically, you're going to select that. So for example, if you click on the smartphone, you're going to see what the smartphone website looks like, and then I can make changes here that are going to be just for this device. So the changes I'm going to make here are going to be independent. Help button is going to take you to the support section. Undo, go back, redo, coming back. You could also use Control Z and Control Y. Okay, Control Z, Control Y, just like you're used to using on Microsoft Word or anything like that. That all works. Save, Control S. Very, very simple, very easy. Now, you have to understand that saving is one of the most important things that are regarding platforms on the web, a cloud platform. What does that mean? AppDrag is a cloud platform, which means that any change that I'm making on my website is on my browser. It's not on the program is not installed on my computer. Okay, so for example, if my computer program like Microsoft Word just shuts down, either because there's no power or whatever it is, there are always some mechanisms put in place in order to recover some work that's lost. However, over here, we're on a cloud. That's not how it works. It's a lot more complicated, and just make sure that you keep your fingers on the Control S all the time in order to save all the time. Whenever you make a change that is pretty important, Control S right away. Okay? Good. Another second thing that you should note while we're talking about the fact that AppDrag is a cloud platform is that browsers use a lot of resources of your computer. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys right now, real quick, what I'm talking about. Okay, this is my task manager. Task manager is the list of all the apps that are currently being executed and run on the computer in the background. If I open the performance tab, I could see that the CPU usage of my computer is currently at 63%, which is a lot. Okay, you're not supposed to be using 63% of your memory, of your usage. First of all, because I am doing live recording of the cam shot and the screen grab. Okay, so those are both in HD, and obviously it's taking up a lot of usage. However, if you look over here, the browser itself uses approximately 150 megabytes per tab. Okay, so over here there's the multicam that's using 326, and each tab is using 150, which means that if I open up another tab right here, and I type google.com, come back to the task manager, and look here, 150 additional megabytes have been added. Which means that every time I'm opening up another tab, I am moving up in the CPU usage until eventually it just crashes. And that's a big problem, because if everything stops, I could lose the work that I've been doing if I forgot to save, or even if I do save all the time, just, it hasn't been 5-10 minutes, I lost 10 minutes. However, there are also some tools in AppDrag that need all of that CPU power. Okay? AppDrag uses more than a standard website. Google uses 150, but AppDrag could use sometimes up to 1 gig. So make sure that, first of all, Chrome is the only thing that's open, and at the same time, that AppDrag is the only tab of Chrome that's open. So no Spotify, no nothing. You want Spotify? Put it on your phone and listen to music. Keep the computer 100% clean, 100% free. Good. If you see that things are starting to get wonky, okay, you see that it's the only page that's open and it's still wonky. Save, refresh, save, refresh. Simple as that. It's just going to put everything back to 0 and your memory gets cleared. You can continue working nice and easy. Next button is preview. So if you can see right now, there's a whole bunch of lines, a whole bunch of buttons, and it doesn't give me a real view of what the page looks like. So all I got to do, hit preview. Yes. And now my website is opening up on a clean, empty page, and it looks exactly what it's going to look on a computer. So copy link. It's always better to hit that button, copy link, which is different than what you see. Right here you see prod.appdrag.com. That's not really the preview link. So if you want to send yourself the link to your smartphone to see what it looks like on your phone, on an actual mobile, you can't send him or yourself that link. You gotta copy it, paste it, and then over here you see that it's Webschool -demo whatever, and it doesn't have the prod URL. So this is the URL that you need in order to really see what your website looks like. It does look almost the same. You see, it looks almost the same, but it's not. Okay, once everything is good and you're ready to publish your website, which means that all the modifications were done, we finished with the SEO, we finished with everything, you hit publish. Once you hit publish, it becomes available to the rest of the world. We'll do it right now just to check it out, just to get an idea. Hit publish, publish entire website, and I get the link. This URL, this one right here, that's the URL that you need to put into your Facebook campaign or Instagram or whatever, okay? If you need to link the landing page to a campaign, this is your link, all right? Now, if you want to add your personal domain name, so you want to put mywebsite.com, that's going to require another step, which is buying a domain and connecting it to your project, but that's something we're going to see later on. However, right now, the website is available. Let's go. Left side, buttons, pages, configuration. It's almost the same as what happened when we clicked on that gear. Only difference is that when I click there, it opens up also the configurations of that actual page. However, over here, if I just click on it, all it's going to do is just open that modal with the configurations of the project. So I could add a new page, I could modify the links of my menu, and of course there's the chance, the possibility of opening up the modifications of this page with that gear, which is the same way we had before. Adding components. We're going to speak about that later on. Plugins. That is to add a little bit more extra splash to your website. So if you want to put some animated text, or if you want to put a Calendly module, which we're going to speak about later on, we'll probably have time to go through that. All of that cool, carousels, it's all going to be found in there. Translate, we spoke about. We said it's going to be the same thing, that button up top. Quick editor, don't touch that at all, because I'm here to teach you guys AppDrag. So I'm going to be the one teaching you guys. You don't need to go through this quick editor thing. Assets Manager is where I put all my images, all my files, my MP3s. If I want to put a PDF, for example, of a menu for a restaurant or a Word document, all of those documents are going to be found inside the Asset Manager. What do we got? All of these pictures right here are the pictures that are currently on my website. Okay, these are the pictures that are here right now, meaning the designer that created this website, that created this template, used all of these images, downloaded them off of the image banks or whatever it is, and all these images are currently in this modal. So if I want to bring my own pictures, for example, all I got to do is hit upload, and it's going to ask me for the upload. Fonts. This is where I could install free fonts from Google Fonts. So I'm going to show you guys real fast how this works. I could see what the font looks like from here, right? But let's say I want to see what my title is going to look like using that font. Okay, for example, I just told you guys that these are Google fonts. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up Google, so fonts.google.com, and I'm going to land on the Google fonts. All of the names that you see right here, for example, Manrope, Bohibo, whatever, these are all the same from what we got here. So if I type Baloo, I see here's Baloo, okay? All of these fonts are the ones that are found on Google Fonts. So I could type my name right here just to see what my name looks like with the fonts. That way I could choose properly what my font looks like. So just hit that OK. And this is going to allow me to, this is going to help me avoid guessing what my name looks like with the font. And, you know, once I download it, change the text, I don't like it, go back, change another font, download again, and so on and so forth. So over here I could just type it directly, go into the categories. If I want to select only the handwriting fonts, here's all the fonts that have to do with handwriting. So let's find something that looks relatively simple. Here, Gloria Hallelujah looks pretty nice. I'm going to come back here, type Gloria, and there it is. Hit install, close out, and that's it. And now I got Gloria in my website. I could use it as much as I want. Hit OK. The last button right here is for the project configuration, which is a bit more global from what we saw earlier on the top button. We're not going to go too much into these buttons here, but we're going to talk about colors and styles because that's pretty important. It's going to save you it's going to save you a lot of work if you start working with the colors and the fonts beforehand. It's going to help you pre-configure all of the different tags. Now, in order for you to understand what tags are, you need a little crash course on HTML. So the way that the HTML language works is with tags. You've got title tags, so H1, H2, H3, H4. There's a bunch of different size tags, which makes no difference because you could change it manually with CSS. But then there's smaller tags called P and div. So these are for small blocks of text. For example, over here you've got like encrypted or cross-browser, which could be an H3 or H4, like a smaller header, but it could be also a small piece of text. When it's a big piece of text, it's a paragraph. So div for smaller ones, P for bigger ones. If you come down here, for example, join the free team, the free trial, this doesn't say P or anything, it says div. So div is what we're going to use for tiny, tiny little pieces of text which do not require extra criteria from the SEO. So from here, I could already predetermine the fonts and the colors of the piece. Fonts and styles for fonts and colors for H1s, H2s, H3s. So let's say my project I know has the blue, green, and yellow or colors. So I want my palette to already be configured with those colors in order for my color scheme to stay the same. So let's say I want my project to be purple. So I could click on purple, and then I want to add a second color, for example, orange. What I'm going to do is hit this add color. I'm going to call this second orange, and I'm going to select the color orange, which is right about here, a little bit darker, hit add, and now I've got my secondary orange color. I'm going to add another one just a little bit lighter, so orange, clear, and I'm going to take this right here, add, and boom. Okay. Now I've got my purple, I've got black and gray for text, and I have a secondary color, which are the orange. So for the palette, I'm going to show you what's going to happen with the styles when I change the fonts and the configuration for the title tags and the P tags. I'm going to show you what happens with that. So if I hit H1, I want all of them to be in Gloria. Okay. Now H1, you're only supposed to have one on the entire page. You're not supposed to have more than one. So if right now you see that manage your data at just one place is H1, okay, it became Gloria Hallelujah because of that. And that's fine because that is the actual H1. What I need is to make sure that the rest of the titles are H2s. Okay, because I'm not supposed to have more than one H1. In order to do that, we could do it in one hit of a button. We're going to open the SEO, although this is not part of the SEO course, but we're going to click over here on headings. And right away it asks me, page contains too many H1s. You're supposed to have only one H1 and all of them, the rest of them are supposed to be H2. Do you want to convert every other one to H2? So I hit yes, apply. And now you see H2 right now, the Discover is not Gloria Hallelujah anymore. And the first one obviously remains H1. So that also is going to help me avoid having to manually go back and change all the H1s in order to make them H2s. Now, once I select H2, so I could see them like this one over here, Discover, I find that the color isn't poppy enough. I want to be able to put a color that stands out. So I'm going to try out with this orange to see if that's going to work. But before I do that, look at the palette on the bottom, okay? If you remember, we created the palette. So the first one, you're going to see this all the time. The first one is always going to be transparent. Second one is going to be white. And the third one is going to be black, which these are defaults. Right then, I see the three hues of purple, then the black and gray, and the orange that I added. So I'm going to select this orange, which is a bit, it's a bit dark, but before, if I want to see this discover become an H2, I got to click on this link. Because the stylist the designer who created this landing page manually changed the styles. So he went and selected something very specific. Now I'm telling him take all the H2s, remove the specific stylings that were made by whoever designed them. And once that happens, all the H2s come back to 0 and they become my secondary color, which is the one that I added. So H3 I'm obviously gonna leave black. Let's leave Montserrat. The size will make it a little bit smaller. Remove everything just to make sure everything stays consistent. Let's go to the P's and the divs. Select the color. Make sure to select the color. You got to select the color. Otherwise, they will become transparent and you won't see them. So I put the gray. Everything's fine. Just remove just in case. That's good. So all my P's and all my divs are good. All right. So now that I have my colors and my styles, I can easily input something new into my page, and it's going to take right away those changes that I configured. But this paragraph right here, it's not a paragraph, it's a div, but it's gray is not the right color because of the background, so I could just select this whole thing and change the color. So again, I have the palette of the colors. I can make it white. However, look what happens if I want to bring a new H2 between my manager data and my div. Okay, so I'm going to go to the add component, which is the button that we haven't seen yet. This is the button that we're going to go to whenever we want to add something new into my page. It's separated into sections and elements are items, for example, pieces of text, buttons, forms, all of that stuff. Sections are the full width parts that you see on the page. So whatever you have that's blue right now, that's it's a section, and then you have another section over here that's gray. So those are full sections, and if I click sections, I can select a categorized section that you have right here. However, in the elements, if I want to add in a piece of text, I come down here, and then I've got H1s, H2s, H3s, and Ps. I want to come back up here, and what I want to do is just pluck in an H2. Here's an H2. Drop it in. Now watch. Boom. It's orange. Why? Because of the configurations that I made earlier, the main general configurations of my pieces of text. So let's just get rid of this and move on to the second part of our tutorial, which is the structure of AppDrag. What AppDrag uses in order to structure their websites, which is the bootstrap. All right. Once we're done that, we're going to come back and make the changes. So in order to understand properly the bootstrap structure, let's create a new page. Let's call this blank. It's asking me whether I want it to contain a header and a footer. What's a header and footer? So if you look up top here, you're going to see that there's a header. That's where the logo and the menu. And if I want, I could remove that and leave it as a standard landing page. Let's click on yes. And here's a brand new landing page, which is completely empty. And you could see it even added to the menu on the bottom right here. And this is a landing page, no headers, no footers, no nothing. And right now I am in a section that is completely empty. All right. The way that AppDrag created their platform and structured their websites. So they use a technology called Bootstrap that you've heard me mention. Now, the Bootstrap technology is architecture. Okay? It's the architecture of web pages using a relation of parent and child of 4 generations. The 4 generations are sections, which is the great-grandfather, lines or rows, which are the grandparents, okay, the son of the great-grandfather, columns, which are the parents, and elements, which are the kids, okay? The kids are the most important. That's what creates the content. So let's start off by going with sections. So if the entire family was my entire website, okay, and Each of those sections are the great-grandparents. So we're talking about a bunch of great-grandparent brothers, all right? Imagine your great-grandparent has a bunch of brothers. So that family that we're talking about is 3 or 4 different great-grandparents or sections. Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. Now each one of those great-grandparents has their descendants, which are the grandparents, parents, and children. So right here, this empty section is the older brother because it's the top one. These arrows that we see on the side is what we're going to do, is we're going to use once we have more than one section. If we have 2 sections and we want to toggle the positioning, so I could use the arrows. By clicking on those arrows, it's going to take the entire section and bring it down, bring it up, but we're going to see that later on live. No worries. What I want to do right now is hit this little brush. This paintbrush is going to open up the designs for this section. I'm going to click on background, and I will give right now a color to my entire section. So if I hit this color palette and give him the orange that I set earlier, I have an entire section which is orange. And you saw that when I changed the background for the section, the entire width of my screen became orange. Why? Because that's the great-grandfather who contains the full width of the page. This great-grandfather has a child. How do I know that he has a child? Because I see a piece of text, empty section. That piece of text cannot sit by himself into the great-grandfather. He's a child who needs to be in a column, who needs to be in a row. So if I hit on this little plus right now, it's going to ask me, do you want to create a new row, which is the child of the great-grandfather? And he's going to ask me, do you want 1 column, 2 column, 3 column, 4 column? He gives me a choice. So I'm going to hit 3. And right now I see that I've got a brand new row with 3 columns. 1 on the left, middle, and right. Now what I want to do is go into the components and add an image. So I'm going to hit elements, image, grab this contained image, and put it into the middle column. But before I drop, watch what happens. It is asking me, where do you want to insert it? It's asking me, do you want to insert it on top of everything by creating a brand new row? Okay, do you want to make a new row? Or do you want to go inside of this row? And if I am in this row, do you want to put it before the empty section, after the empty section, which would be between the empty section and double click? Or if I put it to the left, it's asking me, do you want to create a new column? And this new column would be inside that same row. So I want to put it inside of a column, but in the column of the second child, okay, the second row. So in the middle column, once I let go, I see the image that shows up in the middle of my row, in the middle of my page. This column is on the right, this column is on the left, this column is in the middle, and there's an image which is an element child inside of the middle column. Now what I want to do is take this entire row and make modifications to the style of just that row. And now for me to find the row, I'm able to click on top. If you see right here, there's enough room for me to click in order to get access to that row. But over here, if you look carefully, the column is so close to the edge of the row that I can't even find where that row is in order to click on it and get the button for the paintbrush. However, I have a right click. Okay, this right click, if I right click, it's going to ask me, do you want to edit the column, the row, or the section? All right, and we're going to speak about that right now because it's rather important, because at times we do find this issue of not having enough padding or margin to get access to the columns or the rows. So the pyramid works like this. If I'm on top of the section, which means I'm not inside of a row, I'm just on top of a section, and I right click, it's only giving me access to the section because there's nothing here. My row starts only way below. If I hover on the empty section, which is a piece of text, and I right click, it's going to give me element. It's going to give me the section, of course, the row, the column, and the element. Right here is an empty column. So if I would right click here, of course, it's giving me section, row, column, and not element because there is no element inside of here. Now, my problem here is the column and row that are one right next to the other on top here, which I cannot get access to. So I'm going to right click, hit the row, edit, and now I'm in the configurations or the style settings for this row. So whatever you had before, when I clicked that paintbrush by the section, it's going to be the same exact modal, but make sure that up top it says section or row. Hitting the background, I'm going to select this little blue. bring down a little bit of the opacity. Okay, you see this thing here is to bring down the opacity. That looks good. And what I've got now is I have a modified color of the section, a modified color of the row, of row A, which is the two different children, right? So row A has a different color. What I'm going to do now is duplicate this column. Not the row, but the column. Watch what happens when I duplicate the column. So to duplicate, I could obviously just click once on top of this column, right? I'm hovering over the column and I see the blue tab on top that pops up. So I could click on that and I see the column and I get all the little buttons on the bottom. If I hit the paintbrush, it's going to go back to that modal that we spoke about earlier. But what I want right now is to hit the duplication. So I'm going to hit the duplicate button and look what happens. I see duplicate here, copy it to the clipboard or paste it from the clipboard, which we're going to speak about. But right now, all I want to do is duplicate. So by hitting duplicate, what happened was they are exactly the same size and one next to the other. How does the Bootstrap grid system work? And it goes as follows. Bootstrap has 12 columns, but Bootstrap columns, not the columns that we see here, okay? They're imaginary Bootstrap lines or columns that make up the grid system, which means that I can put up to 12 different columns into this row, all right? So, every time I duplicate a column, Bootstrap is going to have to attribute a part of the 12 for that new column. Now, because I duplicated it, it doesn't know how much I want, so it automatically separates it 6 and 6. So let's say I want to make some changes. For example, I want 8 and 4, or 10 and 2, or 11 and 1. What do? I hover right in between the two columns, click that, and move over. And watch what happens when you move it over. I cannot stop between one Bootstrap column and the other, okay? And that's because we're using architecture. We're using a Bootstrap grid system. We don't want to just do anything and make a free-for-all. So if I pass over to the left and I keep moving on, it jumps from one Bootstrap section, one Bootstrap line to the other. Now that I gave him, how much is that? I think this is 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. So now I've got 4 and 8. Okay? I want to duplicate now a second time. So let's just delete all of that. And now I've got a blank column. We're going to duplicate this column right here. And watch what happens. Hit the button, duplicate here. And now that I have this new column, it's got to go back to 0. Because it doesn't know how many new Bootstrap lines or columns to give to this brand new column. So it goes back to 0, takes the 12, and splits them into 3 evenly, which makes it 4, 4, and 4. And now, of course, if I want to make some additional changes, if I want to, for example, take this entire column and put it in the middle, I could just grab it from here, move it around, and drop it wherever I want. So it could be to the left, to the right, to the middle. And once I let go, it's all nice and cool. Let's move this over. And here we go. So we've got what? 2, 9, and 1. And if I want to delete, watch what happens. I'm going to hit the delete button. And of course, because it doesn't know how much to attribute to the two other ones, it goes back to 0 and splits up the 12, 6, and 6. What I want to do is change the background for column B. I'm going to hit this little paintbrush once again, go to the background, select the color. Let's put some green. Make it a, there we go. And now you've got 3 different colors on the page. There's the orange for the section, the blue from the entire row, and the blue from this particular column. All right, so each one of these components that create this family of Bootstrap has its own color. And of course, this image itself, if I hit this little background and I come down here, I can decide, do you want this image to be an image, okay, because it's using a background image, or do you want to be a color? So right now, this image is using a background color. However, what I can do is take this column, okay, this entire column A, and turn it into the background of this picture. So I go to background, go to replace image, scroll down, find the picture that I just downloaded, hit it, and there we go. We have an image to the background. If you're asking me how come I can't see the entire image, right? It's cut by her stomach. The reason is because this column does not have enough room. All right, it only has enough room to fill the empty section and this H2, which is double click, whatever. If I want to see more, I've got to stretch out this column. Once I stretch out the column, I could see more of the picture. And that's where we're going to get, and that's how the segue into padding and margin comes in. So in order to understand that, let's delete this entire row. Let's delete this image. And instead, we're going to put in a little piece of text. So let's add an element, text. Let's take an H1, drop it inside. We're going to double click. And to double click, it's really, really simple. All you got to do is double click inside, select the entire text like you're used to doing it in any text editor, and change the text that you want. So now I just type my name, center it. I'm going to give it a little bit bigger text, make it bold. Here we go. So now I've got an element that is sitting inside of a column, that is sitting inside of a row, which is sitting inside of a section. What I want to do with my name is give it a border. All right, so I'm going to go into the configurations once more, hit borders, turn the size into maybe 10 pixels that I could see it. The radius, watch, this is pretty cool. This is rounded corners. We could put 30 over here and 30 over there. And we've got a cool, cute little a piece of element. Now, if I want to add a border also to his father, which is the column, Mr. Column is now going to get a border of size 5 or 7. Give him a color brown. Make it red. That way we could see it properly. Perfect. Let's just change the background of this section so we could see a little better. There we go. All right, now watch. These two elements, okay, or these two components, because only one of them is an element. The top border and the bottom borders are touching each other. The right and the left are not. That's the first thing. Second thing is that my name in itself is really close to the edges. So there's two things over here which are padding and margin. So the first thing I'm going to do is move the borders from each other. So the column and the element, those borders, we're going to move them away. Second thing we're going to do is that I want to move the border from the actual text. So now I'm going to hit this little brush one more time. And what we see on the bottom is the padding and the margin. The way that padding works is as follows. I'm going to give padding top 15, padding bottom 15. And my name now is moved away from the borders of the top and of the bottom. Now to the right and to the left, if I use my arrows on my keyboard to move it up, watch how the text is moving away from the edge. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And because there's no more room, it goes to the next row. Okay? Because I'm pushing my text away from one of the borders, and I already decided that my column should be a specific size, the words are wrapped to the next line. So let's just put 10 and 10, make it nicely centered, and everything is good. Now we're going to talk about margin. Okay, margin is going to move the borders away from the parent, and that's on the right hand side. So margin top, I'm using my arrows, and once I hit over and over, putting about 25 margin to the top, do the same with the bottom, 25 margin to the bottom. And now that I'm at 25 on top and 25 on bottom, I could see that it's nicely centered. Now watch the space that there is between the two. They're both at 0 over here at the margin right and left, but there's still a space. So whose space is that? That's the padding of his father. In order to get to that, I could either just click on column and hit the little paintbrush once again, and I could see the 15 and 15, which are creating that margin from both of them. Or I could just, from the element itself, go to the top and go back one generation. If I hit the column, which is one generation back, now I can move up the padding on the right, padding on the left, and then once again, it skips a line, so let's bring it back 15 and 15, and that's nice and cute. Okay, we've got padding done, we've got margin done, we understand bootstrap structure, that's all done. Where do we go now? Back to our original page, and start making some changes. So let's save, hit home, and now I'm back to my landing page. Before we move on, we're going to speak about the 3 different sections that we're going to create. Our landing page needs to have one section that is called a hero, one section that is for description, and one section that's going to have the form. That form could be before the description, after, however you want. However, what's really important is to make sure you've got a hero section right at top, because that's what's going to grab the attention of your visitor. All right. So what we've got right in front of us is a section with an image. It's got a piece of title. It's got a small little subtitle and a button. All right. That's what we call the hero. What does that button do? Obviously, it's going to take us down to the form. So first, we're going to be speaking over here about my landing page, which is, let's make a rock concert. Okay. So we're going to say, fill out this form so that you could get a pre-sale registration for tickets before they go on sale, whatever. All right, so this just calls Tel Aviv Rocks 2020. Right. Now, the subtitle in here, we're going to put get your, actually let's just put reserve your tickets for the post-corona. Now before they go on sale. Yeah, that seems to be fine. Let's copy that. Let's select this text. It's a little bit too small. Let's make it 18. That's good. This column right here, I don't like that. You see, they designed this section with a bunch of columns, extra columns for the space, which is not the really correct way of doing that. So we're going to delete that column, delete this column, delete that one, and now we're going to move this to the middle. There we go. It looks a little bit better. Now this image has nothing to do with Rock Concert, obviously, and this picture says start free trial, which also has nothing to do with my concert. So we're going to have to change that. Let's put your reserve tickets now actually inside the button. That's going to be more captivating. So let's cut that out of here. And instead we're going to type pre-sale registration for August 2020. Get rid of that. Okay. Now, in the button, double-clicking inside, or hitting the little paintbrush. But once I do that, I'm going to have to hit the buttons in order to get to that button, because I could put a bunch of different buttons one next to the other by adding the button right here. But I'm going to select the one that we're working with right now. And now I'm in the... open that again. There we go. So the content is the text that's inside. So I'm going to put over here, reserve your tickets. Now, fix that. Okay. Now I've also got the option of adding an icon inside the button. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to hit that, type ticket, and there we go. I've got a little ticket. Let's make it on the right side. All right. Let's just make the button an entire... Let's just move the positioning of the button. Here we go. Make it to the left. Excellent. Okay, we've got to change that because that has nothing to do with it. So for the image, there's 2 different ways of doing this. I could either grab an image into this column, or I could just remove it entirely and change the image of the entire background. I might find a good image that's going to take up all of it. However, the space that I used to have on the top and bottom that was created by the image is gone. So in order to do that, I got to take the section and add it more padding on top and more padding on bottom. That way, the content, which is the text, is going to be properly centered with a nice amount of distance. Actually, let's make that 120. And now we're going to hit the configurations for the section, background. And now there's a gradient that's active. If you see, that's got like a gradient blue. Got to remove the gradient. Everything is back to white. Replace image. And now for the images, I could either upload a file like we said earlier when we were going through the asset manager, or I could also use the royal-free image banks. Okay, so Pixabay, Pexels, Unsplash, they're all here directly. I don't have to just search them into Google and then download it. If I type in rock, here we go, rocks. Let's scroll down. Okay, this looks cool. Now, sizes. What do we do for three different sizes? This is actually an important decision to make. First of all, a 1920 pixel image is very heavy. Okay, it's going to take more time to load because it's so big. However, 640, which is less, which will take less time, it's going to get pixelated because I have a very wide screen. So I got to decide, what do I want this image to be? If it's a background for a full width, I'm going to need it to be 1920, and in my case, it is. So we're going to hit that, and I've got the image directly inside. However, I can only see the hand. Why is that? Because it's a very big image and the content is not taking so much room in my section. Now, I could also take care of the positioning. If I move down here and I go to horizontal position or vertical position, horizontal is full width, so that's not the case, but vertical, if I start bringing that up, watch what happens, the entire image moves up. Okay? And now I could see what I want to see, which is the band and a fan. Alright? Perfect. However, there's another way to do it, and this is using the parallax. If I bring this at 0 and hit parallax, watch what happens. I scroll with my page, and the background stays static in behind everything. Which means that when I scroll down, the image stays fixed. However, I still see only the hand. Okay, I'll never be able to see what's going on below. And I can't work with the positioning because it's going to take away the parallax. So I've got to modify the picture itself and crop the top. That way I could see more of what I want. So let's go into the image, hit this little paintbrush. Okay, it's not the same paintbrush as before. This is the paintbrush for the image itself. And then now I could go to crop, bring this down. And once I apply and save, okay, remember there's two different buttons, apply, save, and now I could see more of the picture. So when I scroll down, I could see the band, I could see the hand, and all's good. Let's go to the next section. So right now, I'm going to need the details of my concert. So for example, the band members or the venue, you know, all the different details I'm going to want to put about the concert, which is going to have its own section. I'm going to put that into the second or the third, depending on how many you want, what you want to do where. And then the next one is going to be the form. However, if I go down into this template, there are so many sections here, and these are extra. So I'm going to remove all of them. That way I can have only what I need. The second one right here is pretty cool for me with the details. Maybe I will just leave that for the details. Remove this one. What's this, a video? A video might help. You know what? Maybe put a video of like a show or a song or something just to give a little bit more. Okay, let's just leave this right now. There's a tiny little section here. Remove that. Next thing here. Remove. Gone. You're gone. You're gone. Now, for the contact us, this is the form, so the form to register. It doesn't really look very good. It's just a plain bland type of section. So let's just remove that, and we're going to put a new one later. So for the description, let's change this text. I don't need that. There's a little bit too much of a space over here, so I could maybe go in there and remove that margin. There we go. Okay, what else we got? Okay, let's change the image. Replace an image. I'm going to put some band members. So let's just put over here first. The guitarist. There we go. 640, right? It's a tiny little image. I don't need more than that. That's the one. Perfect. And it's really, really small, so I got to make it a little bigger. Let's stretch the padding of the image so we could see more of it. Perfect. Next image. Double click in there. Replace it. Come back up. This time in pixels, let's see if there's a drummer. Oh. There you go. 640. Let's take the padding, stretch it out. Same size. Great. Double click in there. Replace the image one more time. I'm gonna do bassist. Alright. That's not a bassist, that's a guitar. There you go. Perfect. Stretch that. Amazing. However, there is a fourth member in the band. So what could we do? We could take the entire column and duplicate it. So I right click, column, duplicate here, and now of course 3, 3, 3, 3. I'm going to replace this for a keyboardist. $640. Excellent. All right. All that's left to do now, change the names. And there we go. Looks good. And inside we're going to put all the information about the guitarist, about the drummer. So we're going to take care of that later. What I got to do now is another row below, which is going to speak about the venue. Okay? I'm thinking, should we do... Actually, let's make a section. I'm going to go into the components section. Come into features. Let's scroll down a bit. Take this one. Drop it. There we go. Let's remove this. Actually, no. Let's copy this element. It's going to be easier. So I'm going to right click, come to the element, hit copy, come down here, right click on this one, element, paste, and remove the top one. There you go. Venue. Excellent. Remove all of these. Just need one. Take a picture. Replace. Let's put stadium. Search. Okay. Yeah, that's good. 1280. It's a large image. It's not full, but it's not a full width, but still large. Let's come down to the positioning. Okay. All right. And there you are. Looks good. Hero, description, description. And of course, we're going to put the description about the venue later on. For the video, we're going to put in a YouTube video. So let's get rid of all of this. We don't need it. By adding a component from the elements, come down to media, grab a YouTube video, put it inside here. Okay, I'm gonna remove this. I don't need it. I'm gonna go to the background of this entire section because it has nothing to do with that. Let's replace the image. Oh, that's a good one. 1920, of course. Now look what happens. The picture was red, right? It was reddish. Now it's blackish. So it's like if there's some kind of an overlay, right? Maybe you saw that word overlay. So if I go back to the background and I come down to overlay, it says that it's active. So this filter that was added on top, if I disable it, now I can see the picture the way that it was supposed to be. All right? But if I want to leave it, I can leave it. And I could even change the color. So let's put that orange. Doesn't really look that good, but Let's just see if we remove a little bit of opacity. Oh, okay, that looks good. That looks much better. So obviously, this video is nothing to do with us because we need our clip. So what I'm going to do is go onto YouTube and find the video that I want to put in my website. All right. So let's just type in here, half moon run. Okay, let's find a good clip that's relevant to us. All right, this one's good. Now we need to get the embed code. All right, we need to get the link that we're going to put inside. So you could either take the URL or you could just get it from clicking share. Copy this URL, and that's what we're going to get to embed the video by us. Double click in here, or you could even hit the little edit element. Replace this one for the one that we just copied. So paste, refresh, and look what happens. Boom. Here's our video. All right. Let's close this out. Now let's move on to the contact form. So we're going to go to the sections and find a nice looking form. So contact form, come down here. Let's find a nice one. All right, this one's good. Let's get it in here. Okay, replace this title. And we're going to put like a date and a little bit more information. There we go. Now, instead of this image, I want to put in a map of where the stadium's going to be. So in the components, elements, maps, we grab one of these, put it inside. Oh, there's a little text tag over here. Got to remove it. But let's change first of all the Menorah Stadium, which is going to be where the venue is. Maps.google.com. Let's get the address. So we're going to type in over here Menorah Stadium. All right. Is that the one? Here it is. Let's grab this address. You could hit the copy button on the left or just copy it just like that. Double click inside and do the same thing that we did with YouTube earlier. So double click into here, replace it, refresh, and look at that. We've got the map of the Menorah Stadium. So let's close this out and move on to the actual form. So we need to activate this form right now. It says that you got to double click inside and configure it. So it's rather simple. We're going to have to hit configure, but before that, let's just make sure that we have enough inputs. Okay, that's what's important. We need to make sure that the inputs match what we need. Name, email, and message. We need we're a rock concert, so we don't need a message. We just get rid of it right there. Add a field. Let's put in a type number. That's going to be for the quantity of tickets that you need or that you want to reserve. That seems to be fine. Let's just put of tickets. That's better. Add. Okay, you see it show up right there. We're going to put a check because that's a required field. Do we need anything else? Let's do a checkbox. And this time it's going to be get news about the band. We're going to put some values. Yes. Add value. Let's put another one. No. Thanks. Add value and save. So now you can see get news about the band. Yes. No thanks. All is good. Okay. We got to move on now to the configuration. But before that, let's take care of the submit button design because send is not what we want. We're going to put right here reserve book tickets. Let's just do a little bit more style modifications. Full width in the position. We need to center that text, and that looks good. Go back. And now that everything looks good in terms of styling, and obviously you could style it more if you want, we're going to have to activate it, which is what we had earlier, the configure. So we're going to hit configure, and in the mail input, I could put my email address, which is going to be where the message is going to come if somebody fills out this form. All right. That's not really my email address. For the form name, let's give it a distinctive name. So we're going to call this book tickets, because you might have more than one form in your page, and the collect data only is in order to decide whether you want to get an email or not. If you want to just collect the data or get an email, because if I'm expecting to get 5,000 messages, I'm not going to want to get 5,000 emails, 5,000 tickets, sorry. So once that's done, validate form settings. You don't really need to fill this out, okay? This is more for the newsletter module of AppDrag, but validating the form settings is what we need. So validate form settings, validate form settings. You hit twice the button, and that's it. I think that's good. Now after submit. After submit is once the button was clicked. So you could submit the message of mail sent successfully, or you could just put whatever you want. You could put in, like, let's say a code, bonus code for promotion, if let's say that's what you're doing. But in my case, I just need to say, yes, you're booked. All is good. Down here, there's insert HTML code. Now for insert HTML code, this is really interesting because we have the possibility now to activate a piece of script. Okay, so for example, Facebook Pixel. Facebook Pixel will give you stats and all sorts of information about the people that filled out the form. So Facebook Pixel gives you a piece of code. So you're going to get that piece of code from them and paste it in here. Just copy and paste. And once you save it, Facebook will give you everything that you need to know. So let's save, preview. Let's make sure that this form works. So come all the way down. Let's fill out Meir Sabbah. Let's just put anything. There we go. Quantity of tickets. Let's take 6. Yes, of course we want some news. Book tickets. Yes, you're booked. Okay, all's good. Now that this is all working, we're gonna look into more advanced options later on. But for now, in order to get an email, you have to understand that AppDrag wants to make sure that that's a valid email address and it actually belongs to you. So as soon as you put Meir Sabbah 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it is, that address gets an email from AppDrag saying, please click here to activate the form. Okay, or not to activate the form, but to activate the address that's going to get messages from the form. So unless you don't do that, you're not going to get any information, so just remember that that needs to be done. Everything seems to be fine. Let's go up to the top and work with this button. Now this button goes absolutely nowhere, okay? And there's also the menu, features, about, pricing, contact, all of that has nothing to do. That's from the previous template. Parker also is no good. So there's still a couple of stuff that we need to do in order to visually make the landing page look good. So first thing is this button. For a button to be connected to another section on the page, that section needs a name. That's what we call an anchor. Just like an anchor on a boat, you throw it down and it connects the boat to the place in the ocean. That's the purpose of an anchor. It's a connecting chain between the boat and the ground. So that's what we need to do. Link the chain between the button and our section. So let's anchor this now. We're going to go to this section of our contact and go to the link tab. Right here, we're going to give it a name. It's as simple as that. Just give it a name, contact. Close that out. That's all you need to do. Over here, we're going to do it as well because we're going to want to, link them also in the menu. So link, this is going to be video. Okay, come back up. This is going to be the venue. Venue. That's good. Come back up. Link. Get rid of that. Band. I keep on touching bank. And the home we don't really need, so that's not important. Now, let's double click this button and go to the link. You see the link active? we're going to open that out and it's going to place us. Okay, we could bring it to a page. So if I open this, I could see the blank page that we created earlier for Bootstrap. Page anchor, if I click inside, I see all the anchors that I just created. Start free trial is this one over here probably, but we don't really care much. The band venue, I'm going to hit contact because that's what we want. Save that. Let's preview it. And now watch what happens when I click on reserve your tickets now. Tel Aviv rocks, I'm interested. Yes, I definitely need my tickets. Click, and I'm right down to my reserved tickets. Fill it out, and I'm done. Okay. Let's just remove this this name because it has absolutely nothing to do with us. There we go. Okay. So let's talk about the menu. All right. So for the menu, the only way to change things is through the page configuration. You can't just double click and change text. So we're going to come in here and I see features about pricing and contact. So let's change those. I'm going to hit the gear, take that off and replace it with the band, which is going to be linked to the anchor, the band. Validate. About is going to be this time venue. And that's going to go to venue, of course. Validate. Pricing. That's going to be video. Video. Validate. Contact. Of course. This is not going to be the contact us because that was a previous one. Validate. All is perfect. Now, blank, you see I could still see it here, but that was just for the demo. So I don't need this anymore. So we're going to remove it from the menu. I don't want it to be part of the menu. So I just hit on the eyeball and it's gone. Okay, simple as that. Let's close this and style this up a little. All right, double click. And now I get the desktop design. All right. So first we could position it in the center. So now it's centered in this column. The distance between the buttons is the padding that's right here. So I could space that out a bit. Put 20 and 20. Now the buttons are a bit more spaced out. Let's just do 30. There we go. I have room, so why not? In the colors, we could change the background, let's say to, if you want to put a black background, but we just want it white. Text color. Actually, let's keep that orange. Keep the color scheme going. And when I pass over it on hover, I could keep it blue or put my purple. There we go. So when I pass over it, it's purple. Now I can add also a cool thing when I hover over it. Like maybe an underline. Okay, that would be a border, but it's an underline just under each button. So let's go to borders. We're going to tell them only the bottom. Size. Before that, let's just look. The color itself we don't need, but the color on hover, because we don't want there to be anything else. Just when we hover that we want a border. So let's make that purple. So now we still don't see anything. So the size, we're going to move that up a bit. And now I could see that there's the underline, which is completely stuck to my section on the bottom. And that's no good. Okay, I want to be able to actually see that line. So what we need to do is do some padding game. Okay, we need to play around with the padding for it to work. All right, watch what we're going to do. First, we're going to take the entire menu, the entire element menu, and give it a bottom padding of, let's say, 20. Let's say 25. Okay. Now that I got that, I have that line which is in the middle, but I want it to be closer to the top. So over here, I'm going to remove. And now, when I pass over it, the menu is the same exact size that it was before, but the underline is right by the button. And that's not really enough. Let's give it 5. That's better. Let's do 10. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, that's good. It's clean. Not too complicated. Parker has nothing to do with me, so we got to obviously change that. So we're going to double click inside here. But before that, you have to understand that there's the possibility of 3 different logos. So let's just remove the column. Okay. Now there's no more column, there's no more nothing, there's no more logo, and we're going to start from scratch. I'm going to go to the components, elements, let's go down to logos, and there's 3 choices. Either I want it to be a logo just as of an image, logo with text, or logo with text and an image. In my case, I don't really have a logo. Maybe I'll find something on my computer, but which one do I want? I'm going to go with text and icon. Before I drop it, remember, if I drag it to the side, it's going to create a new column, which obviously, after the professional class we had on Bootstrap, it separated the 12 lines, 6 and 6. So let's grab that and bring it to the side. Wonderful. Okay. Now we're going to go to the logo and take care of it. So hit the paintbrush, logo, and we got to do 2 things. Edit the icon and edit the text. I'm going to start with the text. So let's call this Eyes Up Front. That's my new YouTube channel. Check it out. Personal marketing. Let's change this image. So double click inside here, replace the image, my assets, and I'm going to go inside here and drag a picture and drop it. Okay, it's as simple as that. Now, the logo is there. However, I already have text, so I don't want this text. I want to be able to keep the actual text in a logo. SEO, when it sees a logo element with an actual text that it could read and not from an image, it's better. So we're going to crop this. There we go. I just want the face. All right. That's me, by the way. Took a picture of myself. Okay. Apply. Save. Wonderful. Now, you see this background, the blue background. That's because it's a JPEG. Okay? Even if it was white, it would still be a problem because I have a white background now, but it could have been black. Now, I need to get rid of this and turn it into a PNG. Okay? So imagine my entire header was, let's say, I don't know, black or yellow. You see the outline around it, the background? So that could have been white, it could have been blue, it could have been green, and it's no good. I want the background to always stay with the picture. Like if it's embedded inside. Make this picture a little bit bigger while we're at it. No, a little bigger. That's good. Okay. So now I could see the background and it's no good. Forget about the menu. We are going to use another tool in order to convert my logo into a PNG. Okay? PNG makes the background transparent, and once the background is transparent, wherever I put the logo, it'll get the background of where I'm at. So remove .bg. Very simple to use. It cannot be more simple. You grab the image, bring it anywhere inside, and drop. And it does the work for you. You see? Just removed everything. Hit the download button. Go back into AppDrag. Replace this image. And grab this from here. Put it in there. And look at that. See? Let's just crop it a little more so that we make sure that it's 100% face only. It's very important to do this. That way you could control the padding using the web instead of just counting on the padding of the picture. Here's my icon. Here's my logo. Everything's fine. Let's go back here and remove this yellow. Motorcycle. Okay. Let's just adding a little bit of padding on top here. And on the bottom. That way it doesn't touch. Excellent. I'm going to put you on pause for a second because all of the text that you have over here for all the members, do XX, all of that stuff is just absolutely bogus. It's gibberish. I'm going to change all this text, and I'll explain to you guys why in 1 second. 2 seconds passed. Everything is changed. So now I've got Meir Sabbah, Johnny Bonham, Kevin Long, and all of their histories. Even the venue has a little bit of description, and everything's fine. Now, before we move on to translation, we need to first take care of SEO. Okay? Translation works with the metas also, which we're going to see right now. So I'm going to click SEO, and it scans the entire website to see what's going on. It sees how it was structured. Did I follow all of the criterias of Google, Yahoo, and Bing? First thing, it's not indexable. So let's activate the indexation. Now, right now, I need to pay. I'm on a free plan, so it doesn't really matter. But at this moment, you don't really need indexation because it's a landing page which is going to be connected to your URL of your Facebook, so it doesn't really matter. Let's go to metas. Now, it's telling me that my meta title is too short. What's the meta title? That's what shows up in Google when you make a search. So let's say I type Concert Tel Aviv in Google and my page shows up. What do I want there to say? What do I want it to say? So I'll change this title to Eyes Up Front. What do we say? Concert Tel Aviv. And now it's telling me that it's still too short. It needs to be between 30 and 170 characters. So let's just add August 2020. Click, boom. Okay, check. You see how much I went up? Now, it does need keywords. Keywords are the most used words in my site. So it scans all of that. And Tel Aviv, August, Menorah Stadium are the most used words. And now that they are inside the meta title, it's fine and it's perfect. So now I'm going to describe a little bit more. So let's go more into description. This is a fundraising concert that will help the victims of the COVID-19. Let's see if that's enough. Yep, that was enough. And I also have keywords. So 73 is great. This picture, nothing to do with our picture, so let's replace that. And I'm going to select that one, which looks like an actual concert. So if I go into Google, that's what's going to show up. Eyes Up Front, Concert Tel Aviv, so on and so forth. Let's go to the next part, which is the headings. So you remember the H1s? Probably added another one by mistake. I changed that, all's fine. Next problem, your heading is too short. And I see that this one is empty. It's completely empty. So that's that H1 that we saw before that. I forgot to take that out in the right above the map. So that's deleted. Let's just bring this down. Perfect. Back to the SEO. Let's go to the metas. No, not the metas. Headings. Come back down. H3s. So your heading is too short. Best to keep it between 10 and 75. Guitars, I'm not going to use that as an H3 because it's too short. So let's put it as a div. Click that. Gone. And now you can see we moved up to 85. So the drummer also. Div, apply, come down. Keyboardist, div, apply, come back down. Bassist, div, apply. Look at that. We're at 99%. So in order to get 100, let's go to the content and see what the problem is. Everything seems to be fine right here. All the way down, down, down. Parker. Okay, I know what this is, but let's just put an alternate tag for now. It's for the mobile. Let's put... we're going to get to the mobile anyways later, so not a problem. Let's just call this old logo. Come down here. Eyes up, logo. And we are at 100. Everything is wonderful. A+ readability, apply, close. And now that everything is done, in terms of search engine, all the texts are added. We can move on to the translation module. And the first thing we got to do is specify what's the language that it currently is, which is in English, and I'm going to add a new language, which is going to be French. Add that. And it goes through the entire website and takes all the pieces of text and drops it inside, including the meta titles. So that's not in my page. I don't see it. It's in Google, right? But it still grabs it and puts it inside here. This AppDrag is because of the menu on the other side. All of the texts are here. Everything is fine. Yep. All's good. Now, it counts how many characters to translate. 1,572 characters in the entire account, in the entire landing page. Now, I have 228,000 available credits in order to translate. So if I click on pre-translate, I'll have enough. If you create an account on the first time, you're going to get 6,000 free credits. So don't use them right now until you're sure that everything is 100% proper. But worst comes to worst, this uses Google Translate, which means that you could always go and get Google Translate if you run out. And I'm going to show you what that means. Right now I'm clicking on pre-translate and I see that in one shot everything was just translated. Okay, you see well, if you understand French, you'll know that this is actually pretty accurate. Okay, everything, even things that are inside buttons, even placeholders for inputs, everything is 100% translated. And in this case, it's very, very well translated. Now, it's true that just like with Google Translate, you always have to go back and check everything. And worst case scenario, you can always make changes if you see that it's not properly translated or conjugated or whatever it is. But worst comes to worst, if you don't have enough credits, you go to translate.google.com and you're going to get the two fields, right? You're going to get the two inputs. You have the input for the language. You guys know how to use Translate. So you're going to grab one piece at a time. You're going to grab your paragraph and paste it inside. The second you paste it, you get the French. You copy that French, you put it in there. And if you look right now, if you see, everything is exactly the way everything is exactly the same. So it is using Google Translate. Once that's done, you save and close. And now the website is on 2 languages. So how do you toggle between languages? There's 2 ways to do it. And I'm going to do it for now with a simple way, which is a little globe. It's like a little button, an icon of a globe that's going to give you a little modal, a pop-up that you could switch languages. So I'm going to grab this little globe. Now I'm going to create a new column to the right. So of course, if I let go, everything is going to go back to 4, 4, and 4 bootstrap lines, right? So got to fix it up again. Take this one, bring it there. Take this one, stretch it out. Perfect. Okay. Could this go a little more? No. All right. So bring the padding from the top a little bit lower so that it's the same height. Change the color so that it all matches. So the color of the icon. That's right. Let's hit save. Preview. And now it's going to give me my page in English, of course. But if I hit the little globe, I get the little pop-up. So I'm going to choose French. And there you go. Everything is in French. Inscription, inscription en prévente, réservez vos billets. Everything is exactly where it needs to be. Right? Okay, everything seems to be fine. Did I miss anything? It's always good to double check. You never know. But as you see, everything was translated. So that's the first way. Let's get rid of that. And I'm going to add this time little flags. People enjoy the little flag. Oh, I'll keep opening this. Okay, add a component. Now, the 3 flags that you see, you just grab them and put them inside. And it's going to put a table with 3 little icons. I only have 2 languages, so I could remove that one. And I have 2 separate flags, one for English and one for the French. I still need to make sure that this button is going to take me to the right language, okay? Because it does have a default. Let's see if this one, yes, of course, the British flag is giving me English, but these are the default ones. So if you need a Portuguese website, okay, then you're going to need to change that flag, first of all, to the Portuguese flag. And once you have that flag, just come down to this and switch it to Portuguese. So for the French, I'm just going to double check as well. Go to the triggers, translator, come down to the specific languages, which is French, and we're good to go. Save, preview. Everything seems to be fine. I'm going to hit the French, and I'm in French. Excellent. Go back to English, and I'm in English. Wonderful. Amazing. Okay. So now that we are done this part, let's move on to the next part, which is going to be adding a block, source code block from an external site. All right. So for example, Facebook Pixel. They give you a piece of code to insert anywhere inside your website that's going to track the people that landed on your landing page from the clicks in their platform. You don't need to understand what that code is. All you need to know is just you need to copy it and paste it inside. So how am I going to insert that in my website? Very simple. I'm going to add a component. And I'm not going to do the Facebook Pixel because that's not in my scope, but I'm going to input another platform which does the same thing and at the same time adds some actual visual. So I'm going to go to source code. I'm going to grab any of these four. It really doesn't matter which one, but I'll just put the JavaScript one. And I'm going to drop it in my footer, okay? All the way at the bottom. Even, I'm not going to put it over here. Let's just switch these two rows. So if you don't know how to switch a row, I don't think we spoke about that. Let's just edit this row, and then we see those little arrows, just like from the section. We spoke about it briefly in the Bootstrap, but we'll get back to it in a couple of seconds. But as of right now, I want to switch these two rows. I want to put the made in AppDrag on the bottom. I hit the little arrow, and now they're switched around. Let's do the section. So right now, if I want the video to be before the stadium, and I want it to be video stadium contact, I hit the little arrow, and now it's video stadium contact. If I want to bring it back, hit it on the bottom, and it's in the right order. So in here, all you're going to see is script. First, I'm going to change this and give it a name, so we'll call it Twitter. And we're going to see what's going to happen very shortly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another platform called Juicer.io. What Juicer.io does is it's just like AppDrag. So you could create and customize the feed of any platform. It doesn't have to be Twitter. I don't have any social media really, but it takes any social media platform, prepares the page for you according to your configuration and styles, and then gives you a piece of code to input into your landing page. So let's just open up the Juicer.io. I'm already logged in, but you could create an account really simply. Free accounts allow you one social media platform. So if you want to put also Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, you just have to get a paying account. So again, this is closed source, so it's safe. Nothing to worry about in terms of plugins that people are scared of. You have nothing to worry about with this particular platform. So right here is the design of how I want my block to look like in my website. So over here, there's two columns, but if I want to put, for example, 3, everything switches and becomes 3 columns. I could also change the size. So I want it to be only 300 pixels high, and the width, I want it to be 1000. If I change this to 1200, wait a couple of seconds, and then you're going to see that it becomes 1200 pixels wide. Now I got to get the embed code. And in order to do that, we're going to go back. So you have the feed settings, just hit this little arrow to go back. And in here, you're going to see, that's the feed settings, embed in your site. Click that, and then I have 3 choices: standard website, WordPress, or iframe. We don't care about the other ones. Standard website. AppDrag is just like a standard website. It gives you full control to your source code. So I'm going to copy this. Come back here, double click inside, take this entire piece of code, erase it, and paste what I got from Juicer. So simple as that. Save. Now you're not going to see it because it's in code. What I got to do is save it, preview. Now watch what's going to happen. Come down all the way to the bottom, and there you go. You see? It's like another block of visual that was added to my website without having to do absolutely anything. And that's what we call a plugin. So you could go online and search for any type of plugin as long as it's a safe one. So just do some research, okay? It's very important to do your research. If you find, for example, a forum that says that it's I don't know, bugs and viruses and whatever, you're gonna have issues. So just do your homework, do your research, make sure that everything is fine, and you could just copy that piece of text, drop it inside your source code block, and everything's gonna be fine. Okay. Now, what would you think about if I created a Google Sheet, okay, in my Google Drive, a Google Sheet that updates automatically every time somebody fills out the form? So right now I do get information. This information gets either in my email or in a little CSV on AppDrag, but that's not good enough. I want to be able to see live in real time how many tickets got sold. And that I could do just by refreshing my Google Sheet. So we have a possibility of clicking this form and making a merger, making a link to get that data into a Google Sheet that's in my Drive. So to do that, we're going to first create a Google Sheet in our Drive. Open Drive. Right click, Google Sheets. There we go. Let's call this Webschool Demo. Now, for the first row, I'm going to put the name of each of my inputs so that the columns could represent my fields. So name, email, quantity of tickets, I think it was. And the last one is newsletter. That was a yes or no, right? Okay. This is what I need on the Google side. Nothing else. Let's just keep this open for now. In order to make the integration between the two, we are going to need a platform called Zapier. And in order to use Zapier, we're going to need to create an account on Zapier. So Zapier.com is the place to be. You are going to create an account. So sign up with Google. I'm creating an account for you guys. And because I have an account on Google, I'm just going to put in my email address. Let's put my password. And now I'm going to get a notification on my phone. I always have a two-step verification. And because all is good, we enter the world of Zapier. What's my role, which is really not important? I'll just put, I don't put anything. Web engineer, there you go. Continue. Okay, which apps do we want to use? So I could type in AppDrag, and I'm also going to use Sheets. That's also in there. So let's just remove Gmail, remove Google Calendar. We don't need any of those. You could always add whatever you want. MailChimp, Constant Contacts, whatever you want. Sheets and AppDrag is all I need right now. So yeah, I'll show you guys if you just finish the setup. All right. Now that I'm in the dashboard of Zapier, I need to make the link between those two accounts. Okay, AppDrag and Google Sheet needs to be accessible from Zapier so that it could do the integration. So I'm going to go to My Apps right here, connect to an account. I'm going to go to Google Sheet. It's going to ask me for my account, which Google Sheet accounts do you want to use. Allow. And make a little test just to see that it works. Success. Everything is fine. So now I have one connection that works. Next is going to be, of course, AppDrag. I'm going to do the same exact thing with that. So that's going to be my account. Okay. Here it is. Hit test. Success. Wonderful. So now both of them are linked. Everything's fine. I can make the integration. So to make the integration, Zapier calls it a zap. So we're going to make that zap. We're going to click over here in zaps, but in order to make sure that everything's already set up and you don't have to worry about anything, there's a link directly from AppDrag. So you double click into the form and you come down to integrate with more than 1,000 apps. See that? Hit that. And it's going to ask me, what do you want to do? Do you want to go from AppDrag to Google Sheet? Do you want to receive an email? No, that's what we want. Hit use this Zap. And everything is going to be ready. So I'm going to have, when this happens, do this, okay? So this is the integration. Whenever a form got filled out from AppDrag, what do we want to do? So first we're going to select the AppDrag account, which here is going to be the Steve Marcus. That's the one that we're using. Continue. Project. As soon as I click in here, it's going to go and get all the projects that are currently in AppDrag. And we created the Webschool demo for us right now. Form, it's going to search all the forms in that page. Okay? And he sees that the only one I got is form tickets. So that's the one obviously that I need. Hit continue. Now we're going to create a test. Okay? This is a very important step. The step that we already filled out earlier when we tested it out has to be done. So if you didn't do it yet, you're going to have to do it. But over here, you see all of the information that I filled out. Remember, there was my email, the 6 tickets that I wanted. So just make sure that you already tried that form before doing this step. Very, very important. Okay. So now that my Zap is ready on the AppDrag side, I need to complete it in the Google side. So let's go to Google Sheets. What do you want to do when you filled out that form? What do you want the Google Sheet to do? You want to create a new spreadsheet row, or you want to create a new create a worksheet, or even update a row, whatever it is. So what we want to do here is to create a spreadsheet row, of course. Hit continue. Select the account that I linked. Continue. Drive. My drive. Spreadsheet is going to be the Webschool demo that we just created earlier. I have a couple of other ones, but it searches and finds all of them. Worksheet, those are the little tabs at the bottom left corner. Okay, if you had multiple worksheets in that Google Sheet, you're going to have to select the one that you want. But in my case, I only have one, so sheet 1. Now, look what happened. It automatically checks the first row with the name of the columns. And I wrote name, email, quantity of tickets, and newsletter. So I already recognize that I set up that spreadsheet. So right here, I'm going to select the options. Okay. For name, I'm going to hit Meir @mail, quantity of tickets. There it is at the bottom. Newsletter. Get news about the band. Yes, that's the one. Hit continue. Let's test and review. Well, test spreadsheet row was sent to Google Sheets. Let's minimize that and see if it's actually true. Always got to verify to see if it's true. And there we go. Ooh, what is this? Meir @mail.com. Yeah, that's a mistake. I'm gonna have to do some changes in post. Okay. Meir @mail. Let's go back up here. Fix it real quick. Name. That was the problem. Let's remove that. Meir Sabbah. That's the one. Delete. Boom. Okay. Continue. Retest. Minimize. And there it is. Meir Sabbah, Meir. Wonderful. Now I could even remove this. Perfect. Okay. X. So now that works. I'm happy. One last small thing is to turn the Zap on. Okay. You see that on the bottom it says turning on your Zap. Only once you see the green light on the top corner, then you know that the integration is up and running. Another small thing that I'd like to add, if you remember we spoke about it, it was the Calendly. So that's in the plugins. But to do that, I'm going to create a new page. So without a header and footer, create a new page. We'll call it Book a Meeting. Create. Yes. And what I need to do is add the plugin. So there's a bunch of nice little cool plugins that you guys could check out. One of them is the Calendly. Add to site. Grab this guy. Drop it in here. And there we go. Let's remove this. Remove that too. I'm going to put a button just to bring the client back to the landing page in case he doesn't want to book a meeting anymore. Double click in here. Go back home. There we go. Link to the website page. Home. Close. Now, how does Calendly work? Calendly.com. Now, the way that Calendly works is like this. It takes the Google Calendar, okay, and based on the appointments that I want to give to the world, it's going to make them available in the plugin. So, for example, if I want to give 15 minutes available between, let's say, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, so I could put all those configurations in advance, and in Calendly, they're going to see only that window of availability. So, for example, lawyers and doctors that want to give 15-minute consultations for free, this is the perfect thing that you could do. So, let's get this going. I'm going to sign up with Calendly. Sign up with Google. Everything's easier with Google. Allow. You see that? Calendly.com/MeirPromer. That's what I need in the AppDrag side. That's all I'm going to need. That's the URL. And you guys could configure that even personally. So Israel time, that's really important for the GMT. But over here, if I put, for example, eyes up, that's already available with Calendly. And it's going to give me a check. If I put Meir Sabbah, let's see what happens. Nope, it's not. Oh, I actually think that I have another account. So let's just put Meir Promer right back where it was. Or even Promer Media. Amazing. Continue. We'll check for conflicts. Or we'll add events. Yeah, that's the whole point. That's what Calendly is for. So I'm going to leave it, and I can edit later on if I want. Continue. My available hours and my available days. I'm only available for these free consultations on Mondays and Wednesdays from, say, 12 to 2 p.m. Continue. Oh, I don't know what this is. Interview scheduling or customer service. Okay. Sales and marketing. Fine. Finish. Okay. Now that this is fine, double click in here and put in my personal URL. So highlight that. Promer Media. That's that. Get out of here and you see Meir Sabbah. I didn't even put Meir Sabbah. Where did it get that? It got that from Google, right? And he's going to give me 15 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, however long I want. Let's preview. So if I select a 15-minute booking slot, so now it's going to ask me which day you want. And because I only put Tuesdays and Wednesdays available, so I'll put, let's say, Wednesday. I'll put it at between 12 and 2 o'clock, so I could put 3 o'clock. And I hit confirm. Obviously, I'm going to get a ding saying that somebody wants you to call him, so on and so forth. Go back to landing page. That takes me back to my home. So let's close that. And in order to get a link to get to this page, I'm going to need a button on my landing page. We've got to come back to the landing page to add that button. So let's close this. First of all, I got to remove it from here. I don't need it in the menu. And at the bottom, we're going to add a little button. So let's put it right here in the footer. Let's call this Speak to Our Manager. Basic little styles. Let's take that off. padding. Simple button. And clearly the link has got to be to the new page that I just created, which is book a meeting. Close that out. All's good. Last thing we need to do before publishing is making sure that the website is responsive ready. Okay? Remember, right now we just set the page for a desktop, but on a smartphone, it needs, oh, look at that Parker. Remember that Parker that we saw in the SEO? We got to get rid of it. So the easiest way to remove that, you go to the logo and hit the copy current logo to mobile toolbar. And right now it's going to go to the logo that I have there and copy it and paste it over here. But I could change it. Sometimes I'll want a different type of logo because it's a mobile. The menu itself, if I click on it, I could see all of the buttons that I had on the other side. This, the huge hand, is because the padding on the top and the padding on the bottom are different. You see that? Everything that has to do with padding, margin, and text responsiveness is independent in all 4 of these device sizes. Okay? So changes that I make here are only going to take effect on the mobile and will not take effect on the desktop. So if I come right here and add some padding, let's say put this at 100. We've got to fix this hand situation. So let's go to the position. Move this over. And we can see the band. Meet the band looks fine. This one over here is a bit too big, so let's change that. Hit the mobile responsive text, reduce that a little, and it looks good. Okay? Specific button only for responsive text size. So the guitarist is too small. Let's make that a little bigger. There we go. 25 is a good size. Responsive. Let's put that at 25 too. Come down. Keyboard. 25. Bass. 25. Come down. Venue. Looks fine. Okay. The YouTube looks good, but I don't need all the extra padding that I see here. So let's remove that. 0, 0. Yeah. If you want to see a video, you just have to hit and it's good. Reserve your tickets. Form looks fine. Okay, this is big, and that's because of the size that I had to change on the other side once I removed that header. So let's just go into this column and remove that. Let's bring it down to, let's do it manually, 100. We don't need any. Okay, perfect. Now, speak to our manager is our button that we had there. Everything looks fine. And now, all the changes that I did there did nothing to the original page that I had over here. Okay? Desktop is fine. Mobile is fine. Wonderful. You're going to have to do the same thing, of course, with the iPad. And let's just preview before we publish. Go down to iPhone. Okay. Looks great. Looks great. Looks great. Wonderful. Here's my menu. Takes me down to the video. Change the language. French. Everything's in French. Excellent. Close. So, I'm ready to publish. Hit publish. Are you ready? Yes. And that's it. This is my link. Click over here. And that's my landing page. You guys could just copy this URL and you'll see it's exactly it. It's live and running. Let's close everything up. Close this. Now, this website does not have a domain name. Okay, you guys saw that it was .appdrag.site. So that's not very professional, and it is going to work no problem. You could take that URL like we said earlier, you could put it into your Facebook or Instagram and it's going to work. However, if you want to be able to see on top yourwebsite.com. You're going to go back to the configurations of the project in the dashboard, and you could buy it right here. Okay, so you could go to main domain and SSL. You don't have a domain, click here, you search. So I could type in, let's say, eyes up front, see if it's available, search, and I see that it is. $13, it's mine. If I buy it, I link it to my account, everything's wonderful. Besides that, it comes with an SSL certification, which adds more security, that little lock that you see on top in the URL. It shows that you're legit. Besides that, you get 5 free email addresses that are linked to the domain. So for example, I could get mayor@eyesupfront.com instead of meirsabbah@gmail.com, which is very generic. So for $13, you'll get 5 email addresses that you could link directly to your Gmail account. You don't need to create a new Gmail account for that email. As simple as that. Okay, you could tell people, this is my email, that's my email. Both of them are going to get to the same place. So I hope that was good. I hope you guys learned enough information, and see you around.